Today's hard truth is so relevant, especially these days. You must be your own advocate, not only for your life, but for your health. The doctors don't always know what's best for you. So you must be able to do your own research and help them to help you.
Curious what business owners are doing to double revenue, have more cash flow, work less hours, and provide a better lifestyle for their family? Dive into the world of business growth that leads to guaranteed wealth. Your hosts, Dr. Laura Shwaluk and Jerry Kezhaya. Grow and get answers to your business and investment questions that provide clarity, move you forward, and inspire you to reach your goals. Welcome to this edition of the Business Builders Intensive. My name is Dr. Laura Shwaluk, and my co-host here is Jerry Kezhaya. And we have an amazing special guest with us today, Dr. Don Wood. And Dr. Wood has personally helped me in my healing journey. And so, Dr. Wood, would you please tell us a little about yourself?
We're so happy. We're so excited to share.
Know who you are, and I'm just thrilled that you're here. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for the invite. Um, I really started out my career as an entrepreneur. I've always been an entrepreneur. I got into this field really to save my daughter. So, and I said, if you ever want to fix a problem, hire an entrepreneur, because I went into it looking for the things that they missed, right? Where if I went through the traditional training, I did, but I also I was on a mission to try to find out what was wrong with my daughter. And that's why, you have to advocate for yourself. If you just turn over your own health issues to your doctor, they're not perfect. They make mistakes. They're very bright people, but if they've not had any experience in that area, you assume they have, and then you just rely on them. You have to then take that into your own hands. So that's what we did. My wife and I, she said to me when my daughter got the second autoimmune disorder, she said, "You need to figure this out or we're going to lose our daughter." And that's what set
How,
me
how,
off.
how old was she at that time?
She was 24,
Wow.
and she got her first diagnosis of Crohn's at 13, and the second diagnosis, and she had four operations. They cut out 24 inches of her intestines. And then she got the second diagnosis where she was rushed to the hospital because her lungs started filling up with blood. And she was in ICU for 3.5 weeks. And they came back with the diagnosis of idiopathic pulmonary hemosiderosis, which is another autoimmune disorder where the lungs start filling up with blood. And so they told us that there's no cure for Crohn's, there's no cure for this. They don't even know what causes it, but she should learn to um, live, manage, and cope with it. And both of those things were not very, because we saw what happened to her over the last few years with Crohn's. We thought this is a potential death sentence, the second one, because she could choke to death on her blood. So that's when my wife said, "You just need to figure this out." So I went back, got my PhD, and figured it out.
Tell us about the journey, because a lot of people would probably head into the lungs, the blood system, autoimmune issues, but you didn't take that path.
No, I looked at all that stuff and I researched it and I said, what's causing this? I figured that from all the research that I did, that this was a trauma program. This was related to trauma. It wasn't related, the symptoms of the lung and the Crohn's were just symptoms. They weren't the problem, but they were treating just the symptoms. So I said, I need to find out the root cause. And when I did, then I developed the program that I had to clear trauma, and then the inflammation would go down. And sure enough, that's what I did. So I cleared the trauma, and I had to understand how the brain works, how the mind works, and that's what I did. Discovered that.
And it's an amazing process, by the way, for our listeners. Laura and I have both gone through the training. We've gone through the healing. We've gone through the clearing of the trauma, and it's really an amazing process. I would highly recommend. Please reach out to Dr. Wood or his team and Just do it.
So let me share just a little about my story. I
Mhm.
had a horrible concussion when I was probably about 4 years old. And I know a doctor in Park City. And I asked him, I said, you deal with Parkinson's and concussions and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Can you tell me if I have, is there any residual from this concussion when I was a child? And he did some EEGs and he said, Laura, you've had a lot of concussions. And I said, no, I have only had one. He said, well, your
Yeah.
EEG shows that you've had a lot. And I said, no, I've only had one concussion where I got hit so hard that I was out for a while. He said, well, then these must be emotional concussions. What
Yeah.
I'm seeing must be an emotional concussion. And that really resonated. He said, before I can do anything, we have to get your brain calmed down. I was in such fight or flight all of the time. He said, I'm amazed that you even sleep, given
Well,
given what I'm seeing here. And
yeah.
so he said, before I can do anything, you need to do Dr. Don Wood's program. You need to do the TIPP program. And so,
Yeah.
can you tell us a little about the program so everyone can come up to speed about what it is?
Well, what it is I take a 4 hour, 5 hour process, and I say that the key that makes it work is we get the brain into optimal condition to heal. Your brain and your body won't heal if it's in fight or flight. It's basically working on survival mode. So it's
Mhm.
if it's in survival mode, it's not going to do maintenance. It's going to try to get out of survival mode and then it'll do maintenance. But as we know, memory keeps running. And so it stays in that mode. And that was what my daughter's problem was too, is that she was in survival mode. We didn't know it, right? She was just dealing with that, and that developed into Crohn's and into the hemosiderosis. So what I do is I first calm the mind down, right? Get you feeling safe. I give you all the education and science behind how the brain, how the mind works.
Mhm.
And what that does is it puts you into an alpha brainwave state, right? So during those 2 hours, we haven't even talked about trauma yet, and we get the brain to calm down. Then I work on the trauma. But it's like metacognition. So you are looking at it as an observer at the trauma, and that's how it heals. So then it can look at it objectively and then clears the trauma, and that's how it works.
I'm glad you mentioned about calming down the mind because I was going, man, I just want to take a nap while you're doing it.
Yeah.
I was like, can I just lay down and listen?
Yeah.
I felt
That
myself
that's
being a
what
little sleepy too during the process.
Well, that's what happens is people get very, very tired because they're relaxing so much. And but once it does that, then it can look at things very objectively. It's an observer looking at the trauma and it heals it. That's the key. Where traditional therapy never gets you into optimal condition.
Mm.
Even EMDR, takes a lot longer than what we do. With by calming the mind down, we immediately get it into a healing mode. And actually, this is really funny. I just saw this just a few days ago that in 2025, the Nobel Prize was awarded to three scientists who then said, when you calm the mind and body down, right, then it will heal. And so they were talking exactly about what I did. And this is what I say we've done is we've created the optimal conditions for the body and the mind to heal. The mind will fix the body, but it doesn't heal itself, right? Without an intervention. So that's what this is an intervention to heal the mind.
Fascinating.
One of the things in the program that really amazed me is your comparison of the human mind to an animal mind.
Yeah.
Can you say more about that, just to kind of flesh that out a bit?
Yeah, the human mind and animal mind have some similarities, but we have two unique differences. And it's the two unique differences that are causing all the problems for us, all the issues. So the animal mind and human mind, animals work 100% subconsciously. Everything for an animal is happening now. So whenever they react to their environment all the time. And then we, 95% of our mind works exactly the same way. We react to our environment. And that subconscious mind is fully present in the moment all the time. So it only understands now. So that's the 95 to 100% is the similarities. And the 5% is the conscious mind. And that's the ability to use reason and logic. Animals don't have that. So when I started to realize that it's 95 and 5, the 5 is not in control. It's the 95 that's running the show when it's a survival threat. So, and it's operating in real time. So the second unique feature we have, besides conscious awareness, is memory, how we learn, right? So everything you've ever seen, heard, touched, or smelt in your lifetime has been stored in this explicit memory system. And that explicit memory, so animals learn through association. They learn if they see something or do something enough, they code it, but they don't know why they do it. They just code it. We have that same memory system. It's how we learn how to ride a bike, play a guitar. You just repeat it and you code it. But we have an explicit memory system. So everything you've seen, heard, touched, or smelt has been recorded. Now, that's where the glitch comes in. When the mind looks at the memory, something reminds it of it, it looks similar to something else. It looks at the memory of something that happened 10 years ago, and it believes that memory is happening now. And then it activates the nervous system to get you into a response. Because anytime you have an emotion, a feeling, or a sensation, your mind is calling for an action. The purpose of fear is to escape a threat. The purpose of anger is to attack a threat. So if you think about something that happened 5 years ago and you feel fear, that's a glitch. It's an error message. A
I love that you
zebra,
called it. I love that you called it a glitch. It felt like I was like what we had used to have to do to the computers. We had to defrag the computers to get them to work properly. I felt like my
yeah,
brain was being defragged.
yeah, that's what we're really doing is we're just updating the system. So it's got these glitches and error messages based on life's experience. It's been stored in high definition, very bright, very intense. So that memory, when you're in a traumatic event, all your senses are heightened, sight, smell, hearing. So it records it very bright, very intense. Then when the mind recalls it, it then activates the nervous system. Then you feel an emotion, right? And there's nothing you can do about it. So what we do is take it at a high definition. We then process it into a low definition file, like almost what you ate. I'll ask, can you tell me what you ate for dinner last night?
Mhm.
Yes.
What'd
Steak,
you eat?
steak, broccoli,
Steak, broccoli,
and wine.
glass of wine.
And wine. You saw pictures of that, right? When you ate it, right?
Yes.
Where you were, maybe how you ate it.
Yeah.
That's only humans do that. Animals don't store memory of what they've done.
Hmm.
So you can that's why if you have a dog, you can feed your dog the same thing every day because he doesn't remember eating that yesterday.
Wonderful. And
And
and the
so
humans, they've proven out that the human mind cannot tell the difference between a current event and a past event, or even an imagined event,
A
yeah.
future
a
event.
future event. Yeah,
So
which is
that's the
fascinating.
subconscious mind. It's only the conscious mind that can distinguish between real, imagined, or whatever. But if it's a survival threat, then the subconscious overrides the conscious mind and takes over. And then it goes into automatic response. So a zebra cannot feel fear of a lion unless there's a lion present.
Mm.
Otherwise, zebras would be thinking about lions, would be imagining lions, all these different things, and it would be in a constant state of fight or flight.
Mhm.
So the zebra can't remember the lion, but if a lion shows up, it's built into its DNA to respond to the lion. But it doesn't imagine a lion, doesn't think about the lion chasing them yesterday. But then the lion shows up and it reacts. It reacts to their environment.
Interesting.
And it's like when I was learning how to fly an airplane,
Hmm.
when you get your private pilot's license, the analogy I use is it's really mostly about emergency procedures, taking off, landing, and emergency procedures.
Yeah.
And when you go into your commercial pilot license, then you and the aircraft actually become one, if you will, where you know everything about the bird, what it'll do and what it can't do, right? And those emergency procedures are so well drilled into you that the first time I was flying and I got the clouds just popped in here in Texas. They do that. And I got in the middle of a thunderstorm. And
Mm.
the training was so good. I didn't freak out. I just grabbed my the sectionals and planned where I can put this thing down as quickly as possible. And once I got it down on the ground, it was because the training was so good, right? I didn't even think about it until I got on the ground, and then I started shaking. It was like, oh my God, this is a dangerous thing to do,
Yeah.
right? Like, holy
Yeah.
crap. But it was just your subconscious mind put me
It
into
knows what it knows.
it knows what
And
it
it's
knows.
coded it and it coded it for you.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I found that was instrumental for me in understanding this was a thing called the time slice theory. And the time slice theory states that your subconscious mind processes information and then sends it some of the information to your conscious mind. But there's a 400 millisecond gap, 400 millions of a second gap in between the time slices. So your subconscious has already responded before it consciously sends it to your conscious mind, but it's 400 milliseconds behind it. So when I work with like a professional baseball player, I'll say to them, "Did you know that you can't think and hit a baseball?" And they'll say, "What do you mean? I think all the time when I'm hitting a baseball." I says, "No, you're not." That Harvard did a study on it, that a Major League Baseball pitcher pitching from 60 feet, 6 inches away throws a ball at 95 miles an hour. It's coming too fast to think and hit. What they've done is they've coded it.
Yeah.
So they know that that ball is going to end up, based on all the pitches that they've seen, that
Mhm.
ball is going to end up approximately in this area, and they're subconsciously hitting it. And
Wow,
Wow.
wow.
I know I worked with one of the guys and he went, "You just blew my mind."
Yeah,
I said,
right?
"You've been
Yeah.
around baseball all your life. You've coded thousands and thousands of pitches. That's how
Yeah.
you know how to do it, right? It's not a conscious effort. If they were throwing it 40 miles an hour, it would be, right? But at 95 miles an hour from 60 feet, 6 inches away, it's too fast for the mind to process. So
That's
it codes it.
fascinating.
So
Yeah.
let's get back to the body for a moment, the health of the body. With your system, I know that it helps with autoimmune disease because
Mhm.
that's how you help your daughter, the main thing.
Right.
What other things, and for me, the emotional concussion, the emotional trauma that happened when I was a child, but what other things have you noticed that health benefits that people achieve?
Well, things like Hashimoto's,
Mm.
is affected. Anything
Thyroid.
that, yeah, thyroid problems, because what happens is the body goes into fight or flight. So the genes that regulate inflammation go high. The genes that regulate the immune system go low. So it's an allocation of resources. You got 100% energy. So
Hmm.
the subconscious mind says, where do we need this energy put? Well, to inflammation, because it's going to protect the body. Inflammation is a cell danger response. And then the immune system goes low until the danger's over. But memory keeps the danger in the process. So you're always in danger, right? It never goes down. So my daughter's Crohn's was basically a result of her being in constant fight or flight. Her emergency management system is fight or flight, and it's supposed to turn on when there's a threat, turn off when there's no threat, but it never turns off. It stays on. So subconsciously, that's happening for her on a constant basis, and her immune system is compromised. So she's getting very little maintenance done, and then it shows up as a disease. 80% of all the diseases that are out there are psychological based, and it's the body will get affected by the trauma.
That is so fascinating. Without going into all the gory details, I was stuck in fight or flight from the time I was 4.5 years old until I was 59, almost
Yeah,
60. And I had some therapeutic healing done that
right.
literally changed my life. And since then, I've dropped 100 pounds. I'm working out every day, and I'm a complete different person on
Yeah.
every single level after having gone through the healings that we've done. And part of that, honestly, is part of your TIPS program. It's helped both of us significantly. And that's why we're so thrilled that you're here with us, sharing your time and your knowledge with us and our listeners and watchers. So
For
thank you
people
so much.
for people who would like to learn more, what is the best way for them to learn? Your website or
Yeah, best to go to our website, which is www.inspired with a D performanceinstitute.com. And you can get all the information about what programs we offer and the costs and everything. And just do it that way. That's the best way to do it.
excellent. One of the things that I had to do because they didn't give me, they said, "Oh, just see Dr. Don Wood and do the TIP program." So I just Googled your name, Dr. Don
Oh,
Wood,
really?
and TIPP, TIPP, and
Yeah.
that's how I found your website that way. So
Oh,
that,
good. Well, I'm
yeah,
glad you found it.
Yeah,
yeah,
us
me
too.
too. Definitely. And one of the things I also really appreciated about your program was the 30-day follow-up. So I did the 30 days, and then you have those other things to listen to while we're walking. And then you also have a 30 days of um, letting go of a habit and creating new habits.
Yeah.
Like for somebody who is like addicted to sugar or addicted to alcohol or some other kind of drug. Can you speak a little more about those follow-up audios?
Yeah, those are designed to, one, we have to fix the trauma, which is what the TIP program does. The 30 days of audios are designed to fix the codes
Mm,
because we develop codes based on we react a certain way and then we repeat it, and that develops a habit. So you want to walk those out. We call it walking out behaviors. And so as you listen to the audios, it's putting you into an alpha brainwave state, but it's also looking at it differently. And so then it just updates. But it's a lot easier to change the habits when you don't have the trauma interfering. And so then it'll just update it. And then we have a whole series of audios. The walking audios are on resilience, optimism, joy and laughter, communication, all those things that you can walk and listen to them. And they're just great information. And then we got a series of um, meditations, things that you can do for sleep. There's 150 audios in there.
I absolutely love. There's one that I was listening to about pain, and on comes my friend Jason Campbell.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's like, oh, I didn't know it. I was so excited. And I'm like, Jason Campbell's in these too. It's like, Jerry, you got to listen to this.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that was,
he's great. We need to do more. We've talked about doing more because
yeah.
he's got such great talent and it's just his music and everything. So we did those three for a lady who's working on pain. Her son was addicted to pain meds and he died. He overdosed. So
Wow.
she's dedicated to help people and she's working with him in the hospital. So these are three audios that we designed for people to listen to in the hospital to get the pain under control while they heal, as opposed to just taking, they go in the hospital, they say, here's pain meds. They don't tell you how to use them, right? And then they just take them, and that's what happened to him. He got addicted to them.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
So I want to circle back to your walking things out
Mhm.
audios. So while you're walking and you're listening to these, you have your headset on or however
Yep.
you listen to when you're working. I want to be really clear with folks that while you are doing this, it is actually rerouting the neural pathways in your brain.
It's
So
rewiring it.
these habits actually, these responses, these habits, these causal factors go away.
Yeah.
This is not a temporary thing. Like they're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
This,
amazing, and I want people to really appreciate that this is not a temporary. With ketamine, what we're finding is you have to go back and have ketamine sessions, or your symptoms return. And
yep.
10 days to 14 days, you need another dose, right? This there's no
It's
redosing.
gone.
It,
Yeah,
it,
we wired it, and once it's rewired, it's done. So the subconscious mind doesn't see things as good or bad, right or wrong. It's literal. So whatever you program into your brain, it's just a computer, you know? So I equate the subconscious mind to it's a computer. Whatever you type in, it just accepts.
Right.
So if you do a habit, right, it's just going to accept it after you repeat it enough, it'll take it over and then just repeat it. That's addiction, right?
Yes.
So addiction is just a code. And what I explain to people is you have to understand how the brain works. And then when you understand how the brain works, we get you out of addiction because it's not a disease, it's a code. And then you've developed a code. So we fix the trauma that started the code, and then we work on the codes. So
I
we've had a
love that.
tremendous success with addiction.
Absolutely love that. And you compare the mind to a computer. I look at it, we teach it in our coaching that it's like the most fertile garden in the world. And
Yeah.
it doesn't matter whether you're planting flowers, fruit
Yeah.
trees, or weeds. Whatever you put in there,
It's,
it's going to self-water and it's going to grow like crazy. So you
yeah.
really want to make sure that you stop all the stinking thinking and you just make sure you plant good things into your brain because whatever you put in is going to come out in spades.
Yeah. And it does that. And it doesn't distinguish. Is this good or bad, or is it right or wrong? It just takes it literally.
Yeah.
So whatever you go out of your way to repeat, right? It just takes it over.
Fascinating.
And now I have three more questions for
Okay.
you. So the
Okay.
first question is for somebody who has had multiple traumas, do they need to do the 5 hour, like several days in a row, or do they deal with the major trauma first? How do they go about that if there've been like years of abuse or emotional trauma of any kind either?
So what I say is the brain will heal itself. We work on three minimum, right? And once we work on those three, then the brain has the information and it processes. When you go to sleep at night, you go into theta brainwave state. That's where your mind then resets, starts to rework it. So even things that we never talked about or never worked on, it will also work on clearing that because it now has a technique down. And so generally we'll work on three. I put seven, I think it is in the online, so you can do more if you want to.
Yes.
Yes.
But generally when I work with people, I just work with three and then it just updates all of them as
Mm,
long as they're somewhat related, right?
yeah.
But generally they follow a theme.
And then my next question is, at what age, like how young can a person be to go through your program? How young is the youngest people you've worked with?
I've worked with a 6-year-old, but 8 is really the youngest that
Okay.
they sort of get it because from 0 to 7, their brain is literal. So it's hard to get some of this stuff through. So I simplify it. But 0 to 7, the brain is literal. It just takes in everything. It doesn't determine whether it's right or wrong, right? So by the time they're 8, they're starting to distinguish it. So between 8 and 12 is the youngest, right?
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Excellent. And then my next question is for parents who want to make sure that they don't traumatize their kids or uh, but yet still be a parent. What advice do you have for them? What can you suggest?
Well, I say even with the best of intentions, we can mess up our kids. So I've written a
Amen.
program called
Amen.
That's true.
And
That's
no
true.
matter,
Don't
it seems
Mess.
like no matter what we do, our kids are going to hate us at some point in their life for some amount of time.
Yep.
In their teenage years. Yeah, probably.
Yep. So I've written a program, a parenting program to help with that. So you get to understand what they're going through from 0 to 7, what they're going through between 8 and 12, and then what they're going through from 13 to 18. Each is a different cycle and they go through different processes. So I teach what to expect in that time, and I also teach how to operate within that. So even with the best of intentions, we can still affect them. And so, as an example, I had my wife was traumatized as a child. So when she was 6 years of age, she's got a lot of trauma going on. So she gets invited to a tea party by some of the mothers in the neighborhood, and she goes to the tea party, and she gets all dressed up. Her grandmother dresses her up in a dress and does her hair, and she goes to the tea party. And when she walks in, one of the mothers says, "Oh my goodness, Bridget, look at you. You're going to be such a heartbreaker when you grow up." And all the other mothers agree, yeah, definitely. Bridget's a real heartbreaker. She said she felt sick to her stomach and went home. What she heard was, "You're going to hurt people."
Oh,
They
Lord.
were complimenting her. They didn't know she was upset, but she heard, "You're going to hurt, you're going to break people's hearts." And
Mm,
that's she doesn't understand the language.
yeah.
So, with the best of intentions, right, they said something to her that had a major effect on her life. She told me that story when she was in her 20s and was sobbing and crying. It
Yeah.
was an emotional concussion,
Yeah.
right?
Really? Yeah.
That had
Without
happened.
intending. They were trying to give her a compliment to
Yeah.
boost her confidence or whatever, make her feel
Yeah. So all those words, I talk about what words you can use, how you can improve, and if you make a mistake, admit it, right? I made a mistake. I could have done that better, right? And
Right.
then you change it, because then you're teaching your child that it's okay to make mistakes and correct it.
That's so perfect. It is
Yeah.
absolutely perfect. I wish I'd had that when my children were little. It
Yeah.
really,
I
But I
wish
get
I knew some of this stuff too, right? Because
it
I
is.
grew up in an idyllic childhood. I had no trauma. I played hockey. I could fight, so I never got bullied, and I had nothing going on. And my parents never yelled, never screamed, never hit us, never.
wow.
And so my brother and sister and I grew up with a very calm, nurturing household. And that's when I thought everybody lived like that. And it wasn't until I met my wife when I was 18 that I realized I would say something like, "No, I don't like that." And she would tear up and start to cry. And she'd say, "Why are you mad at me?" And I'd go, "I'm not mad." She'd go, "Yes, you are. You're getting mad." She had learned to listen so carefully to my voice that she could hear a slight tone change. So if I was tired at the end of the day and my tone changed, that sounded like I was yelling to her. And so I couldn't understand it. It didn't make sense to me. The "I love yous" felt fake. The hugs felt forced. And I was going, "What is this? I've never seen this before." Right. And then I
Yeah.
saw it. Her father was a very angry person. So they were hiding it from me, but it was showing up in other things. And I didn't recognize it until I saw him explode. Then I went, "Oh, they're feeling fear."
Mm,
That's what I'm noticing. So if he'd blown up at them right before I come over, he's trying to get them, "Tell me you love me, give me a hug." None of it was real. They were petrified of him.
mm,
Wow. Everybody's trauma. My belief is trauma isn't what happens to you. Trauma is the story you make up about what happens to you.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And we were working with a client. He was early 40s, and he'd spent his entire life either in juvenile detention or state penitentiary or federal penitentiaries, mid 40s. And his trauma was he was 2.5 years old. His dad came home from work, and the little boy wanted a piggyback ride. And dad said, "Not now, honey. I just got home. I'm tired." And that kid at 2.5 years old made up his mind. He said, "I'm going to make you pay for that." And
Right.
and he spent his whole life making his dad sorry that he had created this
Yeah.
child. And
Yep.
again, you never know. We don't know the air someone's breathing. We don't know the trauma in the suitcases they have, right? But
Yep.
you know, tr
But 0 to 7, kids are literally, their brains are wired to hear everything verbatim.
yeah,
yeah.
So they just take it in. They don't, whether it's right, wrong, good, or bad, they're just taking it in literally. And then that forms the basis of what they're gonna build from there on in. So he built, he interpreted that as, "Okay, I'll get you back," right?
yep,
And
that's exactly
that's
what
what
it
he
was.
did.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so to wrap this up, some of our listeners might be thinking, "Well, gee, I thought this was a business show. Why are you talking about updating my brain and trauma and these kinds of things?"
What we believe is fix the man, you fix the business.
Yep.
Fix the
Yep.
person, fix the leader, and you fix the business. All the employees will relate to you differently, because you don't know the air they're breathing either.
Yep.
So if we fix ourselves, then we can be a better leader, we can be a better parent,
Lead by example.
we can be just have more fulfillment, be more alive, And it helps us to raise our thermostat for our success in every way, not just money or wealth. It's success in our relationships and success in our fulfillment.
And when you talk about the amount of energy let's just pretend we have this much energy all day long.
Like a bottle of water.
We have this much energy. And at some point, you're going to say, okay, I need some of this energy for my immune system. I need some of this to produce sweat. I need some of this energy to move the muscles, et cetera, et cetera. And the more energy that you leave for your body to heal, the more energy you leave for your mind to heal, the less pollutants you put into your body, the easier this task of healing becomes.
Exactly.
There's a book by Dr. Dan Engel called A Dose of Hope. That's A Dose of Hope. And in his book, I don't remember the study that he cites, but he says that there's 76% of all people in America have unresolved trauma. And so that's why we talk about this on this show, because we know that people out there have trauma. We had trauma. We both had a lot of trauma. Some people have a little bit of trauma, but even a little bit will affect you. It'll affect your health. It'll affect your relationships. It'll affect how long you live, everything.
I mean, I'm just going to say it again. Since I started this healing work, since I started working on my trauma, I've dropped over 100 pounds.
That's phenomenal.
He called it a fat suit. He said, man, I feel like I'm wearing a fat suit. And it was to protect him. I mean, protect layers of protection.
That's what it was, just layers of protection. And now I don't need it. And, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for men like you that are doing this pioneering work to help us as a society. Dr. Dan Engel, Dr. Greg Eccles. I mean, there's hundreds of
Dr. Diogo Laura.
Dr. Diogo Laura, he just created this program that's in Brazil. I mean, that's an amazing process. When one of the differences is in your work, Dr. Woods, we know that there's a trauma. You can see it, you can close your eyes, you can imagine it, you can remember it, et cetera, et cetera. And Dr. Diogo's work, part of what he does is he says, if you can imagine that the trauma is a mountain in the background, you can see it, it's there. Yeah. But you don't know the holes or the crevasses until you're walking up on them. And then you realize that something is missing in your life. And that is also a healing for you, because again, you don't know what you don't know. Didn't know I was missing it because I never had it.
And it could be like,
that's true.
My mother died when I was very young, and I don't have any memories of her holding me, hugging me, touching me at all. That's a huge hole. It was a
for sure. Yeah. Well, one of the things that I say is our whole system, medical system, is designed on studying sick people. We study sick people.
Yes.
Why don't we study the people who are healthy to figure out what they're doing that the other people aren't doing? That was my wife and I said. My wife says we were the perfect petri dishes because I had no trauma. She had trauma. She had to teach me what I had to learn, but we learned it from me as the model. So I had to just get people back to that model. And it's not that I'm exceptional in anything. I just had an exceptional childhood, right? So I had the nurturing childhood, and I was adopted, so we didn't know about my siblings. We only found out about that fairly well within the last few years. But I couldn't have created this experiment. I had 6 siblings. 3 that were born before me. My mother was in an abusive marriage. She walked out and left them. She just abandoned them. Got pregnant with me, gave me up for adoption, went out and got married again 2 years later, had 3 more children. So there were 6 children. Of the 6 children, the 3 that were born before me, 2 have died. The third one has a heart condition, right? All 3 of them were addicted. The 3 that were born after me, 2 have died. All 3 were addicted. I've never had a drop of alcohol. I've never touched a drug in my life, and I've never been sick. I've been healthy my entire life. I couldn't have created that experiment. It was exactly what I needed. So if you studied me, you'd say, what did he do? I had the nurturing childhood, right? And so they didn't. So that would be, if you just study me, you'd figure out we just get people to calm their nervous system down by getting rid of the trauma, they'll heal.
How beautiful.
And so at the end of every episode, I ask our listeners a question, and the question is different every single time. And my question for everyone today is, if you have an inkling of interest in this, either for yourself or for somebody that you know who has had trauma, then please reach out to Dr. Don Wood. If you think that maybe this might help in some way, shape, or form, then go to his website. And Doctor, would you please repeat the URL for us?
Yep, it's inspired with a D, performanceinstitute.com.
Excellent. Are there any final words of wisdom or anything else that you'd like to share before we end our episode?
Well, one of the things I say to everybody when everybody comes in, there's nothing wrong with you and there's nothing wrong with your mind. We just need to figure out the glitches that took shape during your life, and we're going to fix them. We're going to update them.
That's awesome.
Perfect. Okay, folks, and if you have any questions that you'd like to ask us before you reach out to Dr. Wood, please do that. You know how to reach us, www.bbmmusa.com. I'm Dr. Jerry, and that's Dr. Laura.
Yeah.
And this has been a great conversation. Dr. Wood, thank you so much again for being here. I look forward to us continuing to develop our friendship. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys.
Grow and get answers to your business and investment questions that provide clarity, move you forward, and inspire you to reach your goals. Share the show and connect with us at bbmmusa.com to submit questions and learn more. That's bbmmusa.com.